Joyce with Ben Darnell and Mr. Benedict here in the Quarter Farms Doghouse. Before we talk a little football, well, your fall sports teams, what a September they're having.
Rocking, man. We are rolling right now. So it's about time to start getting into conference play, and certainly hope to see it keep going. You know, soccer had a great comeback win on the road at DePaul. He was out at volleyball this morning. They got, I think they're 11-0 or 12-0 maybe.
Yeah.
No, it's great to see. It's very exciting.
How has that volleyball facility helped change the way they do things over there with volleyball?
Look, I think it's more just about access. When you're sharing a facility like we were at Gamble, and you've got different teams using the same facility, it just makes access that much more difficult. Now they have 3 courts that can use basically 20%. So I think it's much more efficient. They can schedule practices when they want to schedule them versus how things lay out in the fall and spring. And so, and listen, it's theirs. They're proud to have a facility that's representative of UCONN and Division I sports and how we like to do things.
Let's talk about scheduling. A little quirk in the football schedule we're about to embark on here in the next 7 weeks. 6 home games.
What's the quirk?
6 home games.
It
no teams have 6 straight home games, David Benedict.
Is that a problem?
I want to know, what are the best benefits that people might not know of, other than just, hey, man, having a bunch of home games is going to be great for the team?
Well, look, I mean, you still got to go out and play the game. But it's obviously you don't have to travel, so you're not getting on planes and traveling back and forth on a Friday and a Saturday. We got home, after the Duke game. It wasn't too bad, but it was probably 1 o'clock in the morning. So that eats into your next week of preparation, and so it just gives you time. And I think the nice thing is we've got an opportunity, and it starts here in a couple hours, to start building some momentum. And if you build momentum while you're at home, people get excited, and we want to fill this place out.
Dave, what do you think of last week at Duke?
What did I think? I thought you saw some progress, but I think, as Coach mentioned, after the game and probably throughout the week, we also have a lot of things to clean up still. And so I think if we can continue to make progress, as well as clean those things up that are controllable, then I think we've got a chance to be a really good football team. So I'm excited to see us play tonight. I'm excited to see Nick in his 3rd start of his career collegiately. I thought he did some things that were really good last weekend, and I expect that he's just going to continue to get better every time he gets on the field.
I love telling our listeners and all the UConn fans that David Benedict played football. Southern Utah, defensive side of the ball, and I've been wanting to know your thoughts on this 3-3-5. And it's not unique to just UConn, like we're kind of seeing across the country now. And your defensive eyes, have you been able to pick that apart, and your thoughts on that defense?
No, I don't spend enough time trying to pick it apart.
I don't know, man. I think you're lying on it. If you watch film.
If you say 3-3-5, I mean, half the time the guy's up on the line. So is it 4? Is it 3? I think it's really just an identification of the type of personnel that you have on the field. Where they're playing and where they're lining up changes. And I think that's one of the aspects of the defense right now that's difficult when we're playing teams and they don't see this on a regular basis, is how do you prepare? And so the one thing that I think Coach Brock is doing is he's being aggressive, he's moving things around, which, anything that we can do to level the playing field or gain an advantage on defense, I think is positive for us. So I thought our team last week, we came out, Duke scripted obviously a really good drive. They executed well, they scored, and then our defense was really tough the rest of the game. So I'm excited to see them play tonight. We're playing against a very athletic quarterback, which hopefully they got some experience with defending against Nick on a regular basis. But we're going to have to contain him to be successful tonight.
Sounds like you watch film.
Ben, you think Bugs is going to be on Skylar Bell a little bit tonight?
Yeah, that would be a great matchup. What do you think of that kid, man? I've been saying to a lot of people, Skylar Bell is one of the most dynamic players we have on this team.
Yeah, well, listen, he's a competitor. He certainly is an elite athlete. But the thing that I really like him about it is he's aggressive at the point of attack, if you want to call it that. So he goes and gets the ball. He doesn't wait for the ball to come to him. I think he's physical in his routes when guys are, on top of him and the ball's coming. He knows how to use his body to create separation. So listen, he's someone we need to target on a regular basis. He's got to have touches because he can, in space, you get him the ball, he can make some things happen.
Yeah, and other guys need to step up because 2 or 3 guys are on, for sure, like Duke did last week when Terry Moore got the interception. He just came across and made a good play. A couple interesting aspects this week of NIL. Another one pops up this week out of Knoxville. Reports are that they're going to charge $10 to every ticket.
10%.
10%?
Yeah, 10%.
10%, not
10%. Okay.
That's a lot more.
For tickets.
Depends on where you're sitting.
Right. Good point.
in a big ballpark like Knoxville has, that adds up real quick. What are your thoughts on that scheme?
Well, I think they refer to it as a talent fee. And whether you want to call it a talent fee or you're just increasing tickets, I think it's certainly a transparent way of saying we're increasing your prices and the money's directly going to go to the student athletes. Obviously, hopefully that's the case. But those are certainly things that we're contemplating right now as well. I mean, you have to generate more money if you're going to share with your student athletes, because the majority of the money at this point in time is spoken for, and so we have to create new revenue. And obviously, Tennessee feels pretty strongly that their fan base is going to support that, and I believe ours will as well.
I see a lot of Klingon jerseys out here. I see a lot of Victor Rosa jerseys, of course. Cam Edwards, number 0, is getting worn out here. I'm a huge Travis Jones fan from the past, New Haven product. These are all Connecticut kids, and I know baseball has a special logo on their hats for kids that come from Connecticut. And I know that baseball is not the unique program in their repertoire for Connecticut kids. My hope is that as an athletic director, force all these programs to continue to recruit this state, even though it is a global recruiting process nowadays.
Well, I think every sport's a little unique because the strength of our state from a high school perspective is different. Every sport's going to produce, a different number of, Division I athletes that can compete at this level. And so, we obviously know we have very strong lacrosse and hockey and different things, but you always want to protect, your home turf. People used to say, hey, you put a fence 6 hours around your university and you've got to be really successful in that area. I do think that NIL and next year, assuming that the House settlement goes through, that revenue sharing is going to change that perspective a little bit. I mean, obviously you mentioned we're already recruiting nationally, but it's harder to recruit outside of your state. The further and further you go, the harder it is to get. I do think that NIL and revenue sharing, especially in football, is going to help us significantly break down some of those barriers, but you've got to protect your home turf. If you have great kids coming out of your state, you've got to get them.
David Benedict, Director of Athletics, with us here on UConn Game Day. Before UConn and FAU, Bryant Sheriffs, former UConn quarterback from a decade ago. Can you believe that, man? You're old.
Unbelievable.
Yeah. Well, so am I. He's got 2 kids already. Good for you, Bryant. He'll be with us here after Mr. Benedict. Look, we're getting close to the start of the winter sports season. Women's hockey has an exhibition today. They start for real next week against Minnesota. That's a return trip from last season. I mean, Mac's team, they're pretty darn good.
Well, they're preseason 1 in the conference. I think they're ranked in the top 10.
Yeah, 9.
So listen, the great thing about winning is now we have expectations, and so the great thing is Mac's not running from those. He obviously wants to repeat and defend the conference championship and continue to make headway nationally. They've got an unbelievable recruiting class, and I think if you look at all this stuff, there's lots of pieces that play into this. NIL and revenue sharing is going to be the next one, but if you look at the investments that we've made in facilities over the last 5 years, is it a shocker. Coach Penders is a great coach, but we get a great facility, and now we've been to the Super Regional 2 of the last 3 years. We get a great hockey facility. Our women's ice hockey program wins the conference championship for the first time in our history, goes to the NCAA tournament. So, I say that with the idea that, hey, the next frontier is NIL and revenue sharing. And so we've made the majority of the investments we needed to in facilities. We've got a couple more that are on the books, but this next piece is going to be revenue sharing. If we want to continue to compete for championships, that's what it's going to take.
Did I see Toscano's hosting the Hockey East Women's Finals?
Yes.
2025?
Yes. Yeah, fantastic. Well, when you have great facilities, people want to come, and conferences want you to host things. So the Big East asks us to host a lot of our championships, and we're very happy to do so.
How many do you host?
Well, it changes on an annual basis, but we've hosted track, we've hosted softball. Of the ones that aren't played at a particular location, we've probably hosted all.
Okay. Baseball would be fun to have here one time.
Well, baseball's in Ohio, and they're not moving that thing, but it would be a lot of fun to host it.
Perhaps a Super Regional.
Yeah,
perhaps a regional.
Well, let's start with a regional.
Yeah, thanks.
Let's start with the regional, Ben.
And then the Super.
But yeah, no, hey, listen, I think if you keep winning like we're winning in that sport, and you keep people moving along, at some point in time, they're going to have to give us a regional.
How about night football, man?
I love it. Playing under the lights, you can talk to Brian about it a little bit. It's just got a little something different to it when you walk out there and the lights are on. It feels differently. The crowd, obviously, it's a little different than playing a noon game. They're here. They might have been lubing up a little bit before they got here. Now they're 5 hours before the game. So, I think we're going to have a crowd that's in a good mood to start the game and hopefully give us some energy coming out of the tunnel, and let's get this thing started.
Yeah, and you had a great student turnout for the Merrimack game. It sounds like you might have the same thing today, and they're starting to make their way.
Yeah, they're rolling in. We need the students, and again, that's part of this. Ben, you mentioned playing multiple games in a row. We've got a chance here. We've got to take advantage tonight, but we've got a chance here to really create some momentum over the next 7 weeks. Looking forward to it.
David, as always,
Thank you, guys.
See you next week.
Appreciate it. Go Huskies.
Yes, sir. David Benedict, Director of Athletics, with us on UCONN.